Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Borkino game video. Today's video is dedicated to the second lap of clan battle and all the bosses jumping 20 levels. Let's go ahead and cover some information and show you what I'm talking about. So you can see here we are on lap 2 and the Orc Chief is at level 90. So what does that entail? Let's go over here onto the great interwebs. Credits to Endu for pretty much posting this calc information. This is all I believe from like the data mined information, whichever how he got it. It's really amazing, and this information helps the community a lot. Thanks to Tim for also posting this information, because that's how I found out about it. Links in the description as always. So here is going to be the Orc Chief, and you can see here the physical attack is 2445, but when he goes to level 90 it goes to 3950. The physical attack matters a lot because that's going to be what's hurting you. So for example, we can also go to the Wyvern, and he is going to be at 2100 at this level 60, which was the first clan battle. He's going to be at 2200 again, but then once he goes to level 80 he's going to be at 3950. That's going to hurt you quite a bit more. So let's go ahead and show you what the Orc Chief can do, just for reference's sake. So we're gonna run the classic Kokkoro Face Tank team. That's gonna be the team where pretty much you switch Kokkoro in the front, but the thing is we're gonna run Miyako in the front so we can get more consistent damage, and then we're gonna run Makoto as always as the death break. Now the reason why we're doing this is because this is no longer a situation where Kokkoro can fully tank the boss the entire time. So what am I talking about? So when she gets her UB able to be casted, let's go ahead and show you what you can do. So you can see there she did her tri-slash as always. That's perfectly fine, and feel free to like time everything in order to pretty much do Makoto's death break, Kaori's UB afterwards. That's perfectly fine. I understand that. If folks wanted me to do that, you know, that's just like something I want to show something else. I want to cast her UB in particular. So you can see here Kokkoro is right now in the front, right at 46 seconds. She casts her pretty much UB so she can stick to the front. That's Kokkoro Face Tank everything. But you can see there she died, and this is where in some case Miyako can somewhat help, but you will also see here that Makoto and Kaori will still die, right? So some of you are probably wondering, Bork, what's the point of running this team? This team is still technically one of the best teams to run because it deals the most amount of damage considering the situation. I'm going to show you something where June gets insta-killed by this boss, and it's really sad to see because June is a recommended tank. June cannot survive this Orc Chief no matter how many stars. It's really crazy. Like, we try to run this at June with 5 stars and Orc Chief still clobbers them. So let's go ahead and run this team one more time with Kokkoro not moving to the front in case folks are curious. And that's probably the runs that most people are going to be doing. So you can see here, you know, pretty much similar damage. And what's going to be different is we're not going to cast Kokkoro's UB to face tank. The most important part that I want to show you is that Miyako is going to be a huge factor to keep your team alive in this particular situation, and it's going to be Kokkoro that's actually not going to be helping as much. Of course, you can feel free to replace Kokkoro with, you know, some other unit like Yukari or, you know, Maho or any other healers to keep your units alive. It's really up to you which ones that you want to use. Just note that Kokkoro with her buff ability is going to help you quite a bit, and it's also RNG based sometimes, where if you have like a higher starred Makoto, technically they can survive and everything. But if you don't want to depend on stars, this is a situation where it can be more helpful, where you can see here that the only person that dies is Makoto. Alright, so let's go ahead and run the second team, the one that I wanted to show you. So it's going to be revolving around Tamaki and Nozomi. So these two in particular units, they're going to be the MVPs. Makoto as always. I'm just bringing these units for the sake of clarity and examples purposes, and then we're going to go ahead. Who do we want to bring in this situation? Where is Ray and Mimi? So this is who we're going to bring in this one. It doesn't really matter who the DPS is that you pick, but this is just something that I wanted to showcase, right? So the point being in showing this team is that Tamaki and Nozomi can actually stall the Orc Chief damage. By that I mean Orc Chief hits so hard that he will absolutely curb stomp most teams, and my thing here is to provide teams that will deal consistent damage. Note that my Tamaki is R8, so she is rank 8 with 3 max gears on refine, hence why she's going to be staying alive. Makoto is going to run a very thin lining here with staying alive, So that's just going to be something that I want folks to be aware of. She might die here. I feel like if you have her at 5-star or 4-star, she could probably stay alive, but there's not a lot of situations where people can run that. You can run these teams, and this will work for like, you know, Wyvern and Griffin or what have you, but it's just something that I want us to be aware of so we can run these teams as a community so we can help each other out. While this isn't like great damage, it's consistent damage, and it's damage that you can deal every single time, right? A couple more teams just to show you what happens. So watch what happens when we run June right here. I just wanted to show this so we can put this into perspective, right? June cannot handle this boss whatsoever. June is like paper thin when it comes to this situation, and it's really sad to see because June is a highly recommended tank, but she cannot take physical hits from this Orc Chief because it is absolutely nutty how hard he hits. All right, so let's go ahead and see here if this will work out. I doubt it. This UV is going to break her. So you can see here, that's usually what happens for any team that runs June, in particular for Orc Chief. It's kind of big rips. You know, June is still like a fantastic tank. Just note that June is a higher performer when it comes to magical damage in particular. But also this damage is actually not horrible to say the least because it's still above 100k. But it's something that I just wanted to showcase in case folks were curious, how was June's performance, right? So my highest recommendation to run the team one more time. So let's go ahead and like clear this out a little. All right, let's go ahead and show off a team without June since we know June doesn't work. So we're gonna run Miyako as a support because that's going to be ideal. I know folks want to run Makoto because she can deal like the optimal damage and stuff, but she's not going to be available for this run in particular. But let's go ahead and run Yukari, and then we're going to be bringing Suzuna and Shori, and then we'll also be bringing Rei. Now some of you might be wondering, is Shinobu worth it? It's not worth it to run Shinobu from what I can tell. She doesn't deal significant enough damage with her death breaks and everything to make her like better than Rei or Hiyori or whoever, just from what I've seen. So your mileage will vary. It's just that Shinobu, from what I can tell, hasn't been the best, but she might be good in Orc Chief where pretty much he does like, you know, this UB right here. You can see here Rei dies. That's sort of to be expected because there's not much tankiness going on in that area, and the most important part is Miyako staying alive, and my goal here is to deal above 100k damage. And of course Suzuna and Shori are, you know, far away into the back line so they can hopefully survive a little bit better. And you can see here we're going to be somewhat surviving, but this is the things that I want us to expect when you're going into lap 2 for like the Orc Chief, right? It's going to get ugly, it's going to get very messy, and it's something that I just want us to be aware of. I wanted to show these comps, you know, with or without Makoto, in case folks are struggling in order to deal enough damage, because it's going to be challenging in order to get to this level, but at the same time it's just something that I wanted to showcase once you get here, because once you get here it's going to be a really painful ride, but at least I can show some tips along the way. That way you can tackle lap 2 appropriately against the Orc Chief, right? Alright, let's cover a bit of PvP and talk about lap 2 and my thoughts about it, alright? So when it comes to lap 2, I feel like it is not balanced for our current game modes for free-to-play players. Why do I say that? Because some of us who are getting sweaty in clan battle right now are having difficulties with it. I don't expect free-to-play players to have an easier time when it comes to it. By that I mean we're like level 85 with high stars. I'm not sure why they made lap 2 so much harder than it is. I know it's not like an HP increase, it's just overall stat increase. It is important to have players feel like they're progressing properly within clan battle, since it is some of the focal points when it comes to Priconne, right? Gate the content where, you know, it's only like high stars, very strong players can only tackle clan battle appropriately, or it feels like they're the only ones who are progressing, then there's going to be some issues, I feel. Now, it's not like a make or break thing. It's just something that I want us to be aware of as a community. That way we can sort of talk about it appropriately. Because what I'm scared of, folks feel like the game is only catered to a certain group of people. I feel like lap 2 is just not properly balanced for global right now, and I feel like that's why they keep calling clan battle beta, because they're still trying to figure out all the kinks. And I guess my biggest message when it comes to clan battle lap 2 is I hope that it gets balanced better. I hope that we don't have to have like 3-star units everywhere, because not everyone has that, and I hope that we can take some of the experiences that we have for the current clan battle and make it better for the future ones. I'm not saying that each lap has to be easy, but all I'm saying is that I want it to feel like people can progress through it appropriately, and hopefully as a community we can improve clan battle by sharing tips and stuff just like this. Anyways, if you made it this far into this video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 17,500 subs, we'll be doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.